everyone, welcome to Arts in Action. I'm Arlene Barshinger, and with me today we have an amazing artist who came down all the way from LA to show her artwork, and this is Christine Sawicky. And say hello to our VCAT audience.
Thank you for having me, you guys. I appreciate it.
Well, we're glad to have you. So, and to come so far to be on my show is quite an honor and a privilege, and I'm so happy that you're here because right now I am looking at some incredible artwork. You're very talented.
Thank you.
Yeah, and multi-talented, I have to say, so we'll go into that later. But she's got a lot of talents underneath this pretty face. So anyway, why don't you tell us about what got you into charcoal art? Of all things.
To be honest with you, I don't even know. The first drawing I ever did was charcoal. It was when I was in high school. I only took one class, and that was in high school. And growing up, I was actually an athlete, so I thought I was too cool for the arts. I just thought, anything artsy, I was never involved in, which was really interesting. And my teacher, during my first class that I had, she made me stay after. There was a contest that I had for the state or something like that, and she had seen my art and kind of some of the things I was doing, but it was kind of mediocre effort that I was putting in. And so she told me one day, she walked up to me and she said, "Christine, after you need to finish this for the contest, so I don't care if you have to stay after class." And I was kind of like, I'm an athlete, I don't do that kind of stuff, but whatever. Mm-hmm. And she forced me to stay after, and I ended up actually winning the contest, which was strange. So my first drawing I ever did in my life, I won.
Now, do you still have that?
I do. Somewhere, my mom has it, my mom or my dad, somewhere in some files somewhere back home, but it is there. It was an American piece, mm-hmm. So it just kind of showed I'm really into diversity and having multicultural, environments always around me. And the first drawing, even in high school, that I did was showing that everybody is equal and everybody was holding an American flag, little children. There was an African American child, there was a Japanese child, there was a white child.
And what a really deep picture, really, for somebody their first time and just getting into art and stuff like that. So that's a pretty deep picture for somebody just starting off in art.
Yeah, I guess it could be, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a pretty deep person, so yeah, it kind of, and the thing that I did was I just kind of had all the little children holding the American flag, and it was all charcoal, with the exception, the only thing that had color in the whole drawing was each child was holding a little flag, and the red, white, and blue was the only thing that stood out, each child's flag, and they were all holding them together and kind of pointing it together to show that everybody is equal. That was my concept, and it won, and I honestly had no idea how I won or why I won or anything like that. So
that's actually a really great concept because we really are all equal.
Yeah.
And so that's a really good message to send out.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start off with some of the paintings that you brought us. I want to see the flower as well.
Yeah, that piece is actually titled Crystal Tears, and the reason when I get into drawing, or whether it's my poetry or drawing or creating anything artistically, just in everyday life, I'm considered a fairly strong person, but behind every soul, there's a very deep part of me. And so I kind of always do an evaluation of myself and where I'm emotionally feeling like at that point. And for that one right there, the piece is called Crystal Tears, and the concept behind that is that the flowers are extremely beautiful, and you're looking at these beautiful flowers, and most people in the world are, since I've been around, I kind of think that there's a lot of surface stuff that goes around. I'm very deep. I like to see people for who they really are. And so even though some things in the world appear very beautiful, the concept with the water drops on top of it is actually the tears, because sometimes behind the most beautiful things in the world, there's also some extreme sadness or extreme loneliness. And so for me, that day, it's just kind of that some things that are considered a blessing are actually a curse. So the double-edged sword, so that's why I have the dark part of it where it's, the tears, like the sadness in the piece, and then there's also the beauty in the piece where it's the flowers because they're remarkably perfect. So that's the concept behind that one.
Okay, and then it's quite beautiful. And then there's one behind you of this cute little girl. Do you happen to know her by chance?
No, I don't. I know her personality because it's mine. But no, I don't know that little girl. I was in Hawaii and I saw this little girl walking around, and this is the girl that I saw. It's not exactly her, but it's just I have a partial photographic memory, so I captured her. And for this one right here, it's just I was actually in Hawaii with just my two parents, and I was there by myself. And when you're by yourself with your two parents, I was kind of walking around the island and just looking at stuff, on my own. And I've always got a very inquisitive mind. And this one is titled The Innocent Inquiring Mind. So I'm always looking. Yeah, I'm always looking. I'm an innocent soul, but I really look to see what things, what's really going on in the world. So I saw this little girl, and like I said, I just put my personality into her. She was just the most adorable little thing on the planet. And she's looking around. She's just looking to see what's behind, the big leaves, what's behind the big picture and everything.
So somewhere there's a lady walking around, I don't know how long ago this was, who has this gorgeous painting. Maybe she'll see the show and they'd be like, oh, that's my picture. Yeah, yeah, there you go. I spent millions of dollars on painting. So anyway, that's really cool. And then you have another subject of a little girl.
Yeah.
And then what do you call that piece?
That one actually is Undiscovered Worlds. She's looking into a fish pond. And it's kind of, I'm very fascinated by water, the ocean, lakes, and all that kind of stuff. The ocean freaks me out. I'm afraid of sharks. But I mean, just in general, that there's a whole nother life. Us as humans, we're walking around and we live, we're here on Earth, and literally this whole water world exists, which is extraordinary. Mm-hmm. And we go to school, we go to work, we, wake up, we have coffee, we do everything in life. And what goes on in this world that we don't even coexist really with? I mean, we don't walk underwater daily,
Space.
Yeah, so it's like, it's fascinating to see that there's undiscovered worlds, and and things operate in two different dimensions. And so to me, it's just the little girl's looking in, and she's trying to figure out, okay, so we're not the only things here, we're not the only people here, and this whole other life exists down below.
There's fascination with what's going on.
Yeah,
in a different world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's absolutely gorgeous.
Thanks.
I am going to, and I love that her hair, you can see the flowing. That's one of the things that stand out to me most.
She's a little blondie.
Yeah, it's really pretty. So this one here with the woods.
Yes.
Someplace you've been?
I'm originally from Minnesota.
So it's of Minnesota.
Yeah, that piece is actually titled Minnesota Winters. It's every holiday. Usually I go back for Christmas or anything like that. And for me, it's more of a piece that makes me, reminds me of where I came from. I live in California now, and we have palm trees, and it's 50 degrees on Christmas Day, which is fantastic, by the way.
No complaints, right?
No complaints here.
I don't know, I miss my snow, so I really miss snow.
No, I do not miss it at all. But that is just it just kind of reminds you that, this is where you came from, Christine. This is where your life began, and it's just the beauty in winter, and it's got a dark element too, but you can see the light kind of coming through the trees, and it's just kind of, like I said, it just captures where I came from. So I always wanted to do a drawing of Minnesota.
And this is called Minnesota Winters?
Minnesota Winters, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have this really neat looking one with the Ferris wheel.
Yes.
I think that's really cool. I love the splash of color in it. And so what do you call that one?
That one is Malevolent Skies.
Malevolent Skies.
Yes.
It's a tongue twister.
It is a tongue twister. We practice it. We practice it before we describe it. Malevolent.
So now what made you come up with, what inspired you with that one, and then to come up with the name Malevolent Skies? I almost messed that one up.
That's okay. No, what inspired me is just, that's obviously the Santa Monica Pier. And for me, I spent a lot of time running down by the ocean daily, where I would just go, I'd run from Santa Monica all the way to Venice, and Venice to, back. And so I spent a lot of time out there. So that was what really inspired me. And then, like I said, there's always on the bright side of me, there's always that flip side, the dark side. And for me, even though I'm in shape and I'm running around and everything seems perfect in the world, if you take a look at the bigger picture, the sky is very dark. It's very gloomy. So it just describes that, there can always be, even in every beautiful thing, there can always be a dark side to it, a gloomy side. So
reminds me of the saying, there's always, where there's good, there's evil.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, I do a lot of poetry where I combine the dark with the light, and I talk a lot about that, where wherever there's a really bright person or somebody that's really positive in life, there's always going to be an element of evil coming in. There's always going to be this, dark coming in to try to attack the light. And so a lot of my pieces, that's why you see a lot of the contrast, because a lot of them run on that same theme. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now we have this other painting of this elephant, and I love the details. You even got his skin, the lines in the skin, the folds and so forth. It's a really great detailed picture. So, been to Africa? That's the first thing I think of when I see.
I've raised money for the kids in Ghana, Africa, and I was
Okay.
actually supposed to go stay in a hut in Africa, but no, I have not been there.
Yeah, that's just the first thing that just kind of pops up into my
Yeah,
mind.
but it's actually supposed to be an African line. So I actually went down that path where I had, an African safari type theme, and so I've got multiple pieces even over here that run in that same theme. So
Now, what did you name it?
That one is Majestic Reflections.
Okay. And so, inspiration was none.
I have none. I wanted to start drawing animals. I thought, I bet you I could tackle an animal. I could draw it. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I just took a train ride, because I'd never been on a train. Mm-hmm. And I took a train ride all the way to the zoo, and I just started taking a look at all the animals that, were African oriented. And so that was kind of what I came up with that one. But I really liked drawing the animals. I'm a big animal lover. I really believe in saving animals and treating them properly. So for me, that's a really, really important piece, along with all my other animals.
Well, I heard that like in a lot of Asian countries, you see a lot of charms and so forth. The elephant's very popular in Asia.
Yes.
And I know they were saying that when the trunk is up, that's supposed to be considered good luck.
Yes, and this one, the trunk is down. And you know what? A gallery told me
Really?
about that. I did not know that, so I apologize. But no.
Well, he's drinking. There's they got to drink
He's thirsty.
sometime, right?
He's
Yeah.
definitely thirsty,
Yeah.
and he's got things to do. So I'm sorry that we didn't have the trunk up, but for me,
no good luck for you right now.
yeah, it's a bad luck piece. So just just kidding.
No, I'm sure it's brought you lots of luck. It's actually a gorgeous painting as well. All these are amazing. So now I have this gentleman behind me.
Yes.
And handsome guy, and I love the splash of yellow on him as well, obviously pastel. So what inspired this piece, and what's the name of this one?
That one is actually titled "He Is a Gentleman," and the thing that inspired that piece is actually, like I mentioned, I write poetry, and there's a poetry piece that I'd written which was called "He Is a Gentleman," and I really talk about in my poetry piece about how in today's world, men, well, particularly in LA, I don't think they have a clue what they're doing. They don't know how to treat women, they're not proper, they're not kind, they're not gentlemen. And to me, I just bypass all that, and I just really don't have time for it. So I went and I wrote a piece called "He Is a Gentleman," where I talk about like how I just want a man.
You know about for your poetry?
Yeah, for my poetry. This was inspired by the poetry piece. So I talk about how I would love to have a man who doesn't need to be taught how to treat a woman, who just knows how to be a gentleman. And it references like old Hollywood versus like now today we've got a lot of junk out there on TV. I'm not going to say which shows or anything, but as far as the old Hollywood, there was a feeling with old Hollywood. It was really deep, it was classy, it was sexy, it was very sophisticated. And so this piece was inspired by the "He Is a Gentleman" poetry piece, and then I just thought, what does that look like to me? And to me that...
Well, speaking of Hollywood, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So, and your involvement in that. So now we have a piece over here that it looks like they're out on a pier and they're overlooking the ocean.
Yes.
Okay, and then anybody you know, or is that another snapshot?
Is that another random
visual?
Photo of somebody?
Yeah.
No, it is. That was the same day that I was actually on the pier. And I remember seeing this father and son, and they were having the deepest conversation. And he was telling me about life, and I thought it was just the most adorable thing, because this kid's eyes were like lit up. He thought it was the coolest conversation. He's like, "Dad, I can't wait to go fishing again next week, and this is gonna be." And you could just see how much he looked up to his father and how close that relationship was. And growing up, I was very, very close to my father. So for me, it really touched home with me. And so it's just them talking very deep into life, and they're looking out into the ocean, just talking about the really deep things in life. And there's a deep connection between them, which is why.
So which gives you a little bit of a connection too, because of your tightness with your father, and as well. So the only one that doesn't have meaning is the elephant one.
Yeah, it has no meaning. I mean, I like it.
You did it because you wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to. That's it.
I wanted to do it.
And that's all you need. You don't. Who needs
that was
another
just not
excuse?
deep at all.
Yeah. Well, who says they all have to be deep, right?
Right.
So now I have this one behind me, so I'm going to move this out of the way.
Okay.
I'm going to set that one up. And so this next piece is got a butterfly.
Oh, yeah.
And can you tell us about this one?
That one is actually, it's titled "Simply Beautiful." And the reason I have the white background is so it stands out completely. I wanted the butterfly to be very dark and beautiful, and the flowers, or the petals and stuff like that. I wanted it to be very, what would be the word? when I was drawing this, it was very specific the way I was drawing the leaves. I just wanted it to be something, it was everything contrasts, like the very bright white background and the very dark butterfly. And again, I think it just always goes back to that same underlying theme with all of my artwork. It's just the, dark running into the light, and everything is always simply beautiful on the surface. So that's this title. It's titled Simply Beautiful. But this is one of my favorite pieces because I love butterflies. I think they're so cute. I do.
Yeah. I like I love butterflies and the fact that they transform from caterpillar into a butterfly.
Yeah.
And I think that that happens to a lot of us. It's like that aha moment where we are one person one day and we transform into somebody else the next by what experiences we have in life.
Sure.
And that's where I appreciate the butterfly, and that's what it just reminds me of. It's like, like every experience I've had in my life, good and bad, has made me who I am today. And to me, butterflies, when they bloom, they're beautiful. So I think there's beauty in all people, and butterflies kind of represent that for me. Sure. And so something like that would
and
have
they're
a
very
good
free
meaning.
too. Like my personality is very, very free, and so I thought, what is something that represents my personality? And I'm like a butterfly. I fly around. I could land on a flower. I could land on a tree. I could land anywhere. I could
And
land
beautiful like a butterfly and elegant.
Thank you.
Sure. So now, do you mind taking this one down and giving us the other one?
Okay.
Or if you'd like.
Yeah.
So now, do you know that young lady, or?
I do not know that young lady. That is not somebody I saw either. That is just something like walking around or anything. I didn't see this little girl. That is something I actually envisioned. And that piece is called Precious Enigma. And she's a very curious girl, and she's looking out into the world, but she doesn't want anybody else to see that she's actually looking out into the world. So she's observing it from behind the scenes. And it kind of just talks about, there was a point in my life where I kind of went under the radar for probably about, I'd say about a year, where I went in and I submerged myself into my art. And instead of being in the forefront, which I'm most of the time in the forefront of things, I actually went behind the scenes. And I started observing the world for what it really was. And I started seeing things for what they really were, which was really interesting for somebody like me, because I came from a very innocent perspective. And when you start seeing the truth about things and you start going behind the scenes and you're looking, and in that piece she's almost scared of what she's seeing.
And you do see that little fear in her eyes.
Yeah, she's not sure what's going on. It's an enigma.
But curious enough.
Yeah, she's curious, but she's like, is this really what it is? And there's almost an element of sadness in it too, where it's like an element of disappointment, because she's unveiling what's going on because she's stepped away from, it's like kind of like if you are in a mess all day long and every day you're living the mess and stuff like that. When you take yourself out of the equation, you step outside the box, you start seeing how bad things really are, or how good things really are, each way, or either way, And for that was at a point in my life, like I said, where I'd submerged myself and I started seeing things in a different way. It changed my perspective on people, on life, and stuff like that. And so I'm curious, but I'm very, there's disappointment, there's curious, there's uncertainty. I mean, there's a couple of different emotions going on with her, but she's not sure that she wants to see the truth, and she's wondering if she should have just stayed.
Now, I'm noticing that most of your paintings, minus the elephant, is very much a part of you.
Yes.
And these pieces are for sale, though.
Yes.
And so, so when you sell your art, do you feel like you're selling off a little piece of you?
I do. I
that?
feel like it, yes. And when I started completing all these art pieces, I was really excited because I was going to have my first sale and I was going to be selling to whoever wanted to buy, and people wanted to buy my art. How cool. And then I was like, but I really like that piece for me because that's like part of my life, and and
it's almost like selling off your family pictures, almost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But you just kind of, I guess, go with the flow and you go with it. But there's definitely a piece of me in everything. But I think if you really want to be successful in art, no matter what it is, whether it's acting or whether it's drawing or like even my poetry and stuff like that. I wrote about this in one of my poetry pieces, and I talk about how I believe art is actually a formula. And if you can convey and a lot of people want to emote in life. Like if there's a finance person sitting behind a desk, like typing away numbers all day, they're not necessarily, it's not that they're not emotional, they're just not as emotional as an artist. They're not probably emoting every day or getting feelings out or, dealing with things the way other people do, like artists do. And so for me, I just kind of started taking a look at it, and I was like, oh, okay, the job of an artist, if you really want to connect and you want to relate, people go to movies to feel happy or to feel, to feel something, in hopes of feeling something. And for my art, if I can give myself to an audience, I will win every single time. I do believe that art is a formula. Whether it's you're writing songs or whether you're creating movie concepts, whatever you're creating, it's a formula. And you have to have naked visibility of your true emotions and what you're really feeling inside. Because if you're not true, if you're an actress and you're going up and you're like playing a scene or doing whatever, and you're faking it, an audience can tell. They're like, she's not that good of an actress.
You're not really feeling it.
If you're not feeling it, if you can't put yourself in those shoes and you can't really relate to the character and really portray something out there, people are going to be able to tell. I don't think it's any different in art. I don't think it's any different in poetry, songwriting, or anything like that. So if you want to be good and if you want to attract an audience that can relate to your stuff, I mean, I'm sure that there's pieces that you can relate to. Like I said, you're a beautiful girl. And we talked about this kind of earlier, how even being beautiful, people don't see the other side of being beautiful. It's sometimes a curse. Some people see it as a blessing. Most people see it as a blessing, but they don't see the flip side of that.
Yeah, sometimes people only see the surface.
Yeah, exactly. Really so I just try to
person inside.
Yeah, get people to relate and to understand what's really going on in the world. Like, what are the true emotions? Because a lot of people, day to day, they're on autopilot. And so my job as an artist is to bring out the true emotions in people.
Now you have some pieces over there on the side. Yeah. You're showing one of my favorites right there on top. So you want to show them that one? We can hold it up for them, like right here in the middle over here.
Okay.
Just show it like this.
That's one of my most recent pieces, actually.
And I love lions and tigers and bears. No, I really love lions. So they're very majestic and they're graceful.
They're beautiful animals.
Yes, they're very beautiful.
That's actually the other drawing this was the first one that I did. That one is called Peace of Mind, and that's actually a female lion laying in the grass, and it's just how talking about, even though if you're a strong woman, stuff like that, there's days when you want to be vulnerable, when you want to be, you just want a peace of mind. Lazy, fall asleep, fall in the grass.
I'm gonna take a nap right now.
Yeah, so those are actually, that was why that's why I drew that piece, and then the following one came.
Yeah. So now, can you see the other ones too?
Sure. I don't know what you want to see.
We could just show them all. Yeah.
Okay.
How about that one right there?
That
one's so cute. I love that one.
Yeah, this one
is so adorable. Look at this. Look at that. Isn't that adorable? Now, I remember playing with a phone when I was a kid, and my kids played with the phones as well, and it just reminds me of how much fun it was picking up the phone. Like, people don't remember the old rotary phones anymore.
No, they don't.
I don't think kids remember that anymore, but one of my favorite things was playing with the rotary phone and hearing the tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, it's because we're 19 years old.
Yeah.
We're young. We're very young. We're 19, so
we
remember the rotary phone.
Yeah, I'm not old enough to drink it. No, but anyway, this one's really, really adorable as well. And then you have another piece over there I want to show everybody.
Which one's that?
Whichever one you want to show.
This is like a sunset. You can kind of take a look at this one. This one on the back is a Peace of Mind.
This one's really cool.
That was like a sunset. We've got that one. I've got a Catalina Bound.
Oh, yeah.
This one's got a little bit of color in there.
Love the splash of color. Look at the colors in the boats.
Yeah, we got that one, and then I've got just another. Well, we can do the giraffe.
No, do you have a name for this one? This one's really neat.
That one's Catalina Bound.
Oh,
yeah, yeah. That's Catalina Bound. I love Catalina Island. It's really good just to go there, get away.
It looks relaxing and stuff. You know, there's something about sailboats that actually really relaxes me. We went to Berkeley, and we were sitting there and watching some of the boats coming in and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, they just look so peaceful.
Yeah, I used to think the same thing too, but now I get motion sickness. So now there's no peaceful anymore.
So now when you look at this, you get seasick.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, that doesn't help.
And then this is giraffes. That was more of the African stuff.
Okay.
The African safari line.
Mm-hmm. So you got the lion and the tigress.
The
lioness,
lioness,
the elephant, and now you got the giraffes. So anybody who's wanting to get a good, safari theme going on, give Christine Sawicky a call.
Yeah. And then we just have this flower one here. This is probably one.
And this one's really pretty as well. Mm-hmm. Now this one's kind of dark. I noticed.
That one is, I focused on, I wanted all of this to be very detailed in the back, and then I wanted the flower actually coming out. So through all the turmoil and all of the things that are going on, this was actually, I drew this one too, with a piece of me in it. Even though all of the stuff in my life was going on, multiple things, could have been bad, good, whatever it was, through all the chaos, I still was successful. And I
Right.
had no idea in the world how I was successful, but I got through it all, and it's no matter what, cream always rises to the top, and it will come out, and anything behind the scenes is just details.
Wow. Well, these are really, really incredible pieces.
Thanks.
Now, you have a bunch of other stuff going on. You know, you do writing, so you have a script going on, and you're wanting to get into the field of movies.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us? So, you know, I think I read an article with Robert Lee,
Yes.
who introduced us to begin with some time ago. He did an article on you.
Yes.
And you have been referred to as, is it the Steven Spielberg of films with your movie that you're trying to do? And so you've had several references with your poetry and so forth, and with your songwriting and your art. And so now,
It's a lot of pressure.
yeah, I was going to say,
Like,
that's a lot. I was going to ask you
that
about, how does
article
that make you
put a
feel?
lot of pressure on me. No, it's fantastic. It's a huge compliment to be basically in every category, compared to top people in that industry.
Mm-hmm.
When that article came out, I literally was like, wow, I don't know what's going on. This is no longer me. This is something way beyond me.
Yeah, it's in Transpire magazine.
Yeah.
So they can go to transpire.org.
TranspireMag.com. Yeah.
To read about you, Christine Sawicky. So now you have that movie. It's called Broadcast.
Broadcast, yes. That's what we're working on right now. And actually, I incorporated the Minnesota Winters piece that was up here earlier. That's actually in the background, so that piece is part of that film. But yes, I'm working on that. We had shot a teaser. David Daniel over at CNN has talked about it quite a bit. And
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We don't have much time left. So now, how does anybody want to get a hold of you if they want to find out about your script, purchase your art? Do you want to share that with everybody?
if they want to get a hold of me, they can just go to @Sawicky on Twitter. Otherwise, Christine Sawicky on Facebook. That's SAWICKY. All of the pages are me. I eventually get to them. So there's 4 pages. Somebody started a fan page for me. So there's on Facebook, on Twitter. You can go to ChristineSawicky.com. You can email me through my website on
Christine is CH.
CHRISTINE SAWICKY.com. So
Okay.
many ways to get a hold of me there. So you can email me. I'm always responding. My Facebook, I can't even keep up with the emails. But post something on my wall. Tell me if you're in the movie industry, in your music industry, art industry, anything like that. I'm always open to working with anybody as long as they're professional.
Okay. Well, it's really great. And so I know that you got some work in galleries at some point in time. Do you have anything coming up?
Well, I am going to be actually putting a bunch of my pieces right now are going to go up at Charlie's Coffee House. It's in South Pasadena. And so that's probably here going to be the second week of January. We're almost there, so most likely third then. So you can take a look at it there in Charlie's Coffee House, South Pasadena. And then I also have been referred to 2 major galleries. So following
Great.
that, I'll be...
Great. Well, thank you. So Christine Sawicky, she came on our show. You see her here coming all the way up from LA to show her gorgeous artwork. And so I want to thank everybody for watching Arts in Action, and check Christine Sawicky out on ChristineSawicky.com. And make sure you follow up with Arts in Action, and you can go to www.vcat.tv and check us out there. We're shown on the VCAT TV site on Saturdays at 5 p.m. and on Sundays at 2 p.m. And then you can also check us out during the same time on the AT&T Uverse channel 99, and for Comcast channel 27. So make sure you check us out and keep coming back, because we're going to have more great artists coming up on the show. So I really want to thank you for coming, Christine. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, Bay Area.
Yeah.
Thanks.